Tonight, for the first time in 50 years, we are living in a post-Roe versus Wade America, and the impact of the ruling is already being felt in some places. Abortion clinics in several states already pressing pause on the practice, including all three in Louisiana that have shut their doors entirely tonight. The decision garnering strong reaction, and for hours today, protesters and advocates on both sides marching, chanting, cheering, or decrying that decision. Lawmakers also split on the decision, mostly along party lines. President Biden taking to the podium this afternoon just hours after that decision was announced. He accused the court of putting the life and health of women across the country at risk.
Today is it's not hyperbole to suggest a very solemn moment. Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people that it had already recognized. They didn't limit it, they simply took it away. That's never been done to a right so important to so many Americans, but they did it. It's a sad day for the court and for the country.
But many Republicans tonight are celebrating the decision. GOP members in the House saluting the decision, calling it a, quote, victory for the sanctity of life.
You know, today's Supreme Court decision in Dobbs is the most important pro-life ruling in American history. By a vote of 6-3, the court affirmed that the power to protect unborn life is returned to the people and their elected representatives. The people have won a victory. The right to life has been vindicated. The voiceless will finally have a voice.
The Supreme Court's decision is expected to lead to a ban on abortion in nearly half of the states in the U.S. Now take a look at this map. Tonight, 13 states have laws that are already in effect, aptly named trigger laws. That includes a large swath in the South and the upper Midwest, unsurprisingly, including Republican strongholds like Texas and Alabama, as well as Mississippi, where Jackson versus Dobbs, the case that overturned Roe v. Wade, originated. And while West Virginia doesn't have a so-called trigger law, there's still an old law on the books from the 1800s that could classify abortion as a felony, but newer laws make it unclear if that will be the case. Now, the most recent law bans abortion after 20 weeks. West Virginia's governor says he will not hesitate to call a special session to clarify the state law if needed. And in Virginia, it only took Governor Glenn Youngkin a few hours to propose a 15-week ban on that practice. He's tapping a group of 4 Republicans to write that legislation. But a slim majority in the Democrat-controlled state Senate could stand in the way. Senator Jennifer McClellan now pledging to fight back against Governor Glenn Youngkin's push for a 15-week abortion ban. But Republicans picked to write the law are hopeful they can get support for it.
To the party that professes to care about parental rights, you will not insert yourself in the decision about whether to become a parent in the first place. That is the most fundamental parental right there is. We will not let you take it back.
An unborn child feels pain, certainly at 15 weeks. The humanitarian thing is to protect life after pain is felt.
Now, Governor Youngkin declined to talk to our Capitol Bureau reporter today, but in a statement, he said lawmakers should be prepared to introduce abortion legislation when the General Assembly's next regular session starts in January of 2023. Now, Virginia's congressional Democrats also weighing in on the issue. Senator Mark Warner saying on Twitter, quote, "This decision jeopardizes the health and the autonomy of millions of American women and turns back the clock on nearly 50 years of settled and reaffirmed laws." And Senator Tim Kaine also decrying the decision, calling it a decision that flies in the face of decades of precedent. He also calls on Congress to act to protect abortion rights, promising, quote, we are not going to give up on this. And a lot of Virginians also making their voices heard on the topic. Protests today in the Commonwealth, in Richmond, Fairfax, and here in the Star City. That demonstration outside of the federal building was organized in just hours after the Supreme Court ruling was finally announced today. WFXR's Rianne Lowndes spent her evening downtown talking to those protesters to learn why they're taking issue with the Supreme Court's decision. Rianne.
Drew, the people I met outside the Pop Federal Building today told me they were scared, angry, and disappointed. Crystal Henderson says the right to an abortion was a vital one for her family.
The girls, the women should be free for what they do with their body.
Henderson says she had an abortion as a young woman after she was assaulted and didn't have the resources to support a child.
It was the right choice because though I couldn't take care of it, my mom, she really couldn't take care of it.
Friday, she drove laps around the protest, honking her horn and playing music to encourage her fellow protesters and protect the future rights of girls just like her. Some chanting for future generations.
They could literally see a world and live in a world where they have less rights than I did.
Others saying they're trying to preserve the work of past generations.
My mom fought so hard to get Roe on the books and to get these rights.
Organizers say the ruling wasn't unexpected, but this protest was wrangled together quickly this morning following the announcement.
Immediately see messages from my friends that are just like mortified of losing the rights to their own bodies. I heard about the protest and I just knew I had to come.
Now protesters wonder what happens next.
I am worried about the decision that our state's going to make with this.
But outside the crowds of the protest, others feel this is a step in the right direction. Liberty University releasing a statement in support of the decision, and law school dean Morse Tan saying this brings power back to the states and protects life.
Believes that every life has been made in God's image, and that extends to our youngest citizens in the womb as well.
And both sides of the argument emphasize if you want to have your opinion heard in Virginia, you have to vote in November. Rhian Lowndes, WFXR News.
All right, Rhian, we appreciate that reporting. Now, others tonight seriously concerned about the wider-reaching impact of this case. The worry comes after Justice Thomas wrote in a concurring opinion that the same scrutiny should be applied to cases that protect rights like contraception, same-sex marriage, and even privacy. Now, earlier this evening, our Kelsey Jean-Baptiste spoke to a political science expert from Radford who said as far as the majority opinion goes, Justice Samuel Alito made it clear that the ruling doesn't extend to other cases that relied on Roe versus Wade, but she went on to say that that's not necessarily putting people at ease, and overall this decision will have ripple impacts.
Justice Thomas does kind of throw in those cases as saying that they suffer from the same kind of faulty legal ground as Roe v. Wade. So there's certainly that discussion in particularly conservative legal circles.
She went on to say the three liberal justices did bring up these same concerns. Their final paragraph saying in part, with sorrow for so many millions of women who have lost a constitutional protection, they dissent. Now, coming up tonight a little later here on First at 10, we'll hear from Kelsey Jean-Baptiste after she spoke to both Planned Parenthood and the Virginia Society for Human Life on their reaction to the overturning of Roe versus Wade. That's ahead again in our next half hour. Now, in the meantime, we want to know and we want you to weigh in. Do you think the Supreme Court made the right decision when it ruled to overturn Roe versus Wade? We've been asking you all evening, and some of you still have time to vote. Just head over to WFXRTV.com/connect or use our WFXR News app to cast your vote. We'll have those final results posted, as well as much more on the effects of this ruling and the reaction. And if there's some part of our extensive coverage that you've missed or you feel like you need to know more, just head over to our website and click on this story at the front page of the site.